Doctor Who Season 4, Episodes 5 to 8, titled The 10th Planet. Do you know how many times I've been trying to do this recording? A lot. But, but of course, this is the final story of the first Doctor. And it's also, the story is a double whammo of stuff. Because it's not just the final story of a Doctor. It's not the first time regeneration happens. It's also the introduction of one of the big three villains. I mean, think about it, when it comes to Doctor Who, there's a trio of villains. Yeah, you get occasionally a Weeping Angels episode, or occasionally you get a Zotara, occasionally you get a Zidu, occasionally you get these guys, occasionally you get what have you. But, think about it, there's mainly like a trio of villains. And that are the Daleks, which in the classic series we have met a few times. We got the Master, who I heard doesn't show up around the Third Doctor era, so we got still a little bit more time until he shows up. And then the other one is the Cybermen, which is their introduction. The 10th Planet is their introduction. And the thing about it is, like, you're always, for me, I'm a little bit curious, right? Because you're thinking, like, I watched, the Daleks' first episode. And of course, naturally, or the first story, sorry. And naturally, you're like, okay, let's watch this. Let's see how these guys became, like, the big thing, if no one has ever seen Doctor Who, there's two things people would know about. They know there's a guy named Doctor Who, or a person named Doctor Who. Daleks, TARDIS, and then Daleks. So you're like, okay, let's see how they became that popular. And now I'm watching it, I'm like, this is fine, but I don't see it. But until Dalek Invasion Earth, you can't get it, right? Maybe, and I was thinking, maybe 10 Planet's gonna be fine. It's gonna be good, fine-ish. It's just, the next story they show up, which is Mike's Tomb of the Cybermen, because that's because they're the title I did look for. I was counting how many stories is there for the second Doctor, just so I can space it out in January, because I'm roughly trying to make each month is a Doctor focus thing. So of that, so when covering the classic series or like the show in general. But there's that sense of curiosity of like, okay, let's see how these guys are. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, they're very, like, outside of Resigned, unless you count, season 10, nearly at the end of the last couple of episodes of season 10, where all of the Cybermen designs are there. But they're pretty close what we know now. I mean, the only thing is that they're not from our planet. The difference is that we know that the Cybermen from the Revival are from a parallel universe, but here's the thing: it's all roughly the same stuff with their background. That they're robots who used to be us, who don't feel any emotions, and the reason that is they want to avenge death. That's pretty much their whole thing. And of course, there's a great line from William Herschel says, which is, love, hate, hatred, happiness. You have no emotions there, sir? And of course, Dave Bradley played, the reenactment of that in the last Christmas special, which was so many years ago. I miss Doctor Who Christmas specials. Thank God they're coming back, right? But I'm watching them, I'm like, these are the Cybermen. Like, maybe they're a little bit more talky. They're not, maybe they're robotic, but they're a little bit more, it's like that weird robotic but human speak kind of thing. But I'm like, I'm enjoying this. I mean, the story is that there's a story that there's a 10th planet in our solar system, and they are home by which is the home of the Cybermen, and the Cybermen are not big fans that us humans are showing up. And so they're like, we want you to basically, because you want to show up on ours, we want to show up on yours and take over. Basically, we want to burn the earth because we don't trust you. Yeah, the moment you show up, it's all going to go AWOL and all sorts. And it's like, okay, I'm like, yep, that's a very Cybermen type thing. I mean, maybe less on the whole. You don't really care about us humans, about how we treat things. It's more along the lines of, we want you to upgrade you. That's our goal. We just want you to turn into. We want you to turn into us. That's our goal. But you have really well character dynamic stuff. Even the Doctor, like the Doctor doesn't like. The Doctor's in the first. Is in the first 2 episodes, and then he passes out, hinting that the Doctor is slowly dying of old age, because that's how he dies in this. We're so used to like, some big elaborate death, and it's like, no, the first Doctor just, he got old and fainted, and he turned into the second Doctor. William Herschel just turned into Patrick Chow because his Doctor just got too old. The elaborate deaths are like later on, right? Or for the 7th Doctor's case, you just get shot. I have seen the movie. Yeah, and I've seen also Planet of the Daleks, so seen that one. But it's but even with the Doctor stuff, I'm like, this is really well put. This is really put together. I feel every character has. It feels so modern. It feels like a modern story that it would be told. I mean, the Cybermen would look completely different, but it's just really well crafted. It's 4 stories. It's quick, bam, boom. Because the Doctor passes out, him being ill, it's time for the companions to shine, and the companions, with Ben and Polly, they both shine. They both, mostly Ben, but Ben, but it kind of shows the independence and shows like, hey, these guys are worthy to be part of the TARDIS versus just be questionnaire people. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, this is even. Still, Ben is basically just Ian and Steven, and Polly's just Susan and Vicky and Dodo, like, with just different names and different faces. It's like, are you sure these guys are not Time Lords as well? Like, it's that type of thing. But the actual, what else to talk about? The actual, oh yeah. So 3 out of the 4, because it's a 4-part story. Now 3 out of the 4 episodes are live action, right? It got filmed, But as I mentioned a few times, that there's missing episodes because the BBC at the time didn't know this whole thing about home media and streaming services, all that. They thought because it would be cheaper to just tape record their films. So there's a number of episodes of Doctor Who, and of course number of the BBC shows that are missing and will never be seen again. But maybe some audio has been found or something, or some swips, or maybe it's just lesser quality of what it could be, and maybe not worth to just put it on DVD or something. But because of that, the BBC used to do, because they ended it last year, animated recreations of these missing episodes. Sometimes there are full stories. We are so. I'm so surprised that they haven't done Marco Polo. Just very surprised they haven't done that one. But sometimes it's just a missing episode or 2 missing episodes, and they'll animate those episodes. But it's kind of that in between of like, here comes the live action, but then here comes the animation, and it depends who you are. It could be a smooth transition. It may or may not. Depends who you are. But watching it, I'm like, yeah, it works. I mean, it's interesting watching it because it came out in 2013. That the final part, even the generation part, like the only part that got kept apparently, that is still around from the original 10th planet is the regeneration thing. I don't know, maybe they thought that might, like, we might, because, we might use it, so, we'll keep that part. But we got the generation scene, and that's the only true finished piece of footage that is left of of that final part of the 10th planet. But yeah, I like the animation style. I really do like when, because William Harper would wave his finger, like, just, you listen here, young boy. He would just, the animation of of the animated Doctor just like wagging his finger around. I'm like, okay. I'm like, it was oddly enough pretty surprising that they're able to kind of keep the mannerisms, what the actors probably would be doing, and what would happen and all that. But apparently for the final part, it was just what's it called, a teleprompt version or telecom version, and they just like, well, we just animated this and make it a better quality. So they kind of just animated what was there, and they kind of knew what the actors were kind of doing. And they could do maybe some more cinematic shots that probably wouldn't be done back then, but it could be done now. Because of the animation, but also in theatre and cinema in general. But yeah, I mean, the only thing probably left to talk about is probably the generation itself. It's the final, like, 3 minutes, even though I don't understand why the Doctor was like, I'm going to set the TARDIS, but I'm going to keep Molly and Ben out. I don't know, would you want to, I don't know, maybe you wanted to regenerate by yourself. Maybe that's the case. Maybe you just want to have time with yourself and regenerate and that type of thing. But it's, I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, it's not this big elaborate thing. It's not, we're not having a big speech at the end. It's, that the Doctor mostly does, where, like, to calm people down and say, like, everything's fine, everything's good, everything's going to be alright, and that, so you don't have that. It's just the Doctor turns on the TARDIS, he falls down, and a generation happens, and you have, William Herschel turning into Patrick Troughton. It's not the most elaborate thing. And he dies, of old age, which, to be fair, that's how the 11th Doctor died, because of old age. So it's not the most unheard of. It's not like, every Doctor needs to die in battle kind of thing, or rescue someone, or rescue someone in need. Hint hint, with End of Time, with and sacrificing themselves. I'm using non-binary terms when I describe the Doctor in general, because you got, it used to be we just say he, but because you have 13 appends who I just like to use non-binary terms as well in the character in general. But yeah, it's also weird. I say, like, my plan is to wrap up season, the first Doctor stuff by the before the new year. I'm like, got it. And it's only 15 stories apparently for the second Doctor, so it's probably, generally I can, it won't probably be all but here's another one like I have been doing the last few weeks, for the last week or so. So it'll be more spaced out, and of course I got Last of Us, and there's DC stuff and all that. So yeah, look forward to Power. What's it? We start with a Dalek story with the second Doctor, which is